since Orlando. But they picked up the rising star player in Toxic, someone who's going to bring you a different element. He's a new player. And we don't really know much about Toxic at this point, what he could do at the high level, but we're going to be waiting to see right here.
All right, guys. So you're both taking Classic to advance. I think this is going to be an interesting one. I'm actually excited to see Carbon because every time we turn our backs on them and sleep on them, they seem to have a surprise in store for us. I'm expecting a lot out of Strong Side after talking to him in Nashville. He seems to be re-energized. But again, we're going to advance Classic here, and that's going to set up our final match in round 3. And that's going to be a 2-seed straight ripping against their old nemesis, number 7, the new final boss. D-Mac?
And if you looked at this matchup 3 years ago, it would be iconic. Final boss versus straight ripping. It would be crazy, but that's not the case right now. But what excites me, it could be the case again. What Final Boss has done between the offseason is they've taken a step back and they've realized that the moves that they've done in the past 2 years have been completely wrong. The way that they're attacking Halo 3, they needed a support player, a utility player. That's what they picked up in Tots. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen right away. And that's why they're going to lose this matchup to Straight Rippin'. But I'm excited to see Final Boss in the long run.
You know, Straight Rippin', they're looking stronger than ever with the pickup of Hines. Of course, they struggled a little bit with their LAN scores, but the LANs don't matter. They were just trying to mesh as a team. Final Boss, they look good on paper. I've seen them play on the LAN network a little bit. They look strong, but I don't think they're going to be as strong as Straight Rippin' will be when it comes tournament time. Final Boss, in the second event of the season, though, they could pull off the upset.
All right, guys, so we're going to advance Straight Rippin'. I've heard some pros predict a placing for as high as 4th place for Final Boss, so that's kind of exciting for any of those FB fans out there. But all right, that's going to do it. It's time for a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll pick up the action with round 4 of the winner's bracket, so stay with us.
Did you know women prefer Old Spice for their men 1 bajillion times more than lady-scented body washes? Did you know that I'm riding this horse backwards? Yeah!
Welcome back. We've covered the first 3 rounds, and now it's time for us to dive into the winners' semis. That means we've got Saturday night's matchup, which is the number 1 Triggers Down versus Instinct. D-Mac?
Well, when you look at this Instinct lineup, yes, we've talked about how they've been so impressive. Triggers Down, very impressive. It's hard to pick when you have the juggernauts, but when you have to decipher these matchups like we do here, you have to look at the little things, and the little things come down to chemistry issues. Can Neighbor really fit into Triggers Down? We've already seen that they dropped Hysteria for a little bit, picked him back up. There were a little bit of issues there. Is that going to affect their gameplay? And on the other side, Instinct, they get Cloud. Cloud has been seen to take teams that haven't been that great, aka believe the hype, and take them to the very top as we saw in Orlando. Can he do that with this Instinct squad and bring Roy and Lunchbox their first victory? I don't think it's going to be here. I'm going to say Triggers Down, but I will not be surprised if it was Instinct.
You know, D-Mac, I have to agree with you. Instinct is definitely going to look strong in this matchup. And, of course, if they get by Believe the Hype in the previous round, they're definitely going to be coming into this one with all kinds of momentum and confidence. That's going to be a very tough round for them. And going up against Triggers Down, you have to like the playstyle that Instinct brings to the table. They have the Team VR that might be able to shut down those huge slayers that like to separate themselves like Hysteria, Pistola, and Neighbor. You know, SK is going to be the X factor in this match for me. SK, if he can go positive, if he can keep the Slayers all on the same page, I think Triggers Down should win this one based on talent alone.
Okay, guys, so we're going to advance Triggers Down. They're our number 1 seed. They're making it through here. Again, we're going to have to see how these lineups play out, but so much talent. It's kind of hard to bet against them, but should be an interesting matchup nonetheless. All right, now that's going to set up our second matchup for Saturday night's broadcast, and that means our number 2 seeded Straight Rippin' going against the number 6 seeded Classic. D-Mac?
Well, when you look at this matchup, you're looking at a matchup between arguably the 2 most complete teams on this circuit. The only difference is one of them has more talent than the other, and that's Straight Rippin' having more talent than Classic. When Straight Rippin', when you look at them on paper, so impressive. Snipe down Hines, the best player in the game at this point, and then you have Legit and T-Squared, Big Daddy T, the best captain that we've seen. And on the other side, Classic, they're rising stars. They have Toxic, a rising star. Chig is starting to make a name for himself. Ghostiyami is starting to make a name for himself as a very good strategist, but they're not quite on Straight Rippin's level yet. I'm going to have to go with Straight Rippin here.
You know, D-Mac, when I first heard about the brackets or saw them, I definitely agreed with you. I definitely advanced Straight Rippin'. But then I got to talking to the players leading up to this bracket show, and I also took a look at the game types. And I have to tell you, I'm not picking straight in this one. I'm going with Classic. Classic is the most prepared team of any of the top 8 teams that I talked to. Ghost Aomi is more confident than ever in his squad. He said that Tizoxic is playing at the top of his game. He has the communication, the teamwork, and the sniper rifle that the team needed. Classic has the game types that they need in this matchup. Talking to Snipe Down, 4 of the 5 game types in this round are in Straight Rippin's bottom 5. Classic will have to take advantage of this, and if they do, I think they should be able to win 3-1. They just got to get to Straight Rippin, and they have to do it early on.
Well, that's a pretty bold pick from Puckett. I do think you're going to see our next full-fledged superstar in Tizoxic in this matchup, and hopefully he'll shine through. But I can't advance him simply because I want to set up the ultimate matchup, the one that everyone wants to see, Straight Rippin against Triggers Down in that championship matchup. D-Mac, your thoughts on that matchup?
Well, if it's anything like Anaheim, you might as well flip a coin because it went to 11 games there, the most exciting Halo 3 series that we've ever seen. These teams are 2 powerhouse juggernauts. I don't feel like their playing styles are very similar, but I do feel like their talent is very similar, and that's what makes these games so close. I'm going to have to go with Straight Rippin here, only based on their home court advantage. I always do it, so I'm going with Straight, but I would not be surprised if Triggers Down shuts them down.
You know, and just to disagree with D-Mac here, I'm going to go with Triggers Down. Like he said, both of these teams so very similar when it comes to talent. And I have to say that the play style for Triggers Down is going to better suit them in this matchup versus Straight Rippin. I don't think Straight Rippin will be clicking at the same level as they were with El Might Warrior back in Columbus, maybe at the second event, but not with Hines, not this early. I think Triggers Down, based on their skill and their ability to keep the power weapon control, should be able to win this match. It's definitely going to Game 5, and it's going to be 50-45 plus.
All right, well, there you have it. D-Mac going with Straight Rippin in Orlando. We've seen this before. Hopefully it works out a little bit better for him. And Puckett taking Triggers Down. A little surprised by that based on his history of always taking straight. But if we get to this matchup, these guys made all the good points. It means you're seeing incredible Halo. This is the history. These are the teams that gave us the 11-game series. It's going to be incredible. With Hines now on Straight Rippin, what does he bring to the table in terms of his familiarity with Triggers Down? And, of course, Neighbor. When you talk about Neighbor, you talk about all that potential, and will he finally reach it with his new teammates? You know he'd love to take out Straight Rippin. Well, that's going to do it for the Orlando Bracket Show. For Puckett and D-Mac, I'm Sundance DiGiovanni. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Old Spice Odor Blocker Body Wash is so powerful it can block BO for 16 hours. Its blocking power is as powerful as me.
Yeah, it is.
Who said that? Is that my left bicep? No, it was my
Abdominals.
Odor Blocker Body Wash is too powerful to let this commercial in. Block! Building kit!